ghoul friends! It's me, Adrian or Ayden. Either way, I am still your host, and you are still listening to Susto, the podcast of ooky spooky scary stories centered on paranormal folklore from Latin American and Hispanic cultures. Welcome back. Thank you for joining me once again on the other side, and if this is your first time, welcome. What a time. What what a time. So first off, I just want to say thank you to everybody for your patience. I took last week off. It really was just all way too much. And you all constantly are showing me patience, grace, kindness, and I truly, truly appreciate it. Yeah, just October really kicked my ass, and as always, I will say I had a great time. I loved it. Two things can be true though. While I did love it as much as I did, I was also very tired by the end of it. It felt truly like a marathon, and that last mile or so was so rough. It wore me out. That paired with daylight savings time and the election, it just all was like, okay, this is too much. I need to just stop and back away for a second. It's just to take a breath. Actually, let's do that. Let's all take a deep breath together. And we're okay. We're gonna be okay. But yeah, it was just a lot. October was amazing. Thank you. Shout out to everybody who invited me for an event, for to sit on a panel, to table, to speak, to host, to interview me, to be interviewed by me. I truly, it was an amazing time. And you know what? What do we say? We keep these good vibes going, huh? Let us take that momentum into the rest of the year. So I say this often, and I know I was saying it throughout the month of October, but if you see anything, anybody, any events that you think this is a perfect match, a match made in hell for Susto, do not be shy to link us up, reach out to that other entity, reach out to me, send messages, tag people in comments. I'm all for it. I wish that people lived in this spooky bubble like I did all year round, and like you all do, because hello, you're here. But you know what, we're still in fall season. The spooky vibes continue, and we all know that here at Susto, it does not matter if it is 50 degrees outside, if it is 1,000 degrees like it is in Texas most times. It's spooky season all year round. So again, thank you all for that. And also to my new listeners, I am hoping that a lot of you here are new today, because again, I was able to be on a lot of amazing shows. If you're new here, welcome to your first new episode. Kind of terrible timing, right? As a as a podcaster, to take a week off. I just ran this sprint marathon. I don't know why I keep comparing it. Maybe because I'm a runner, I'm a track star. But anyway, I just did all of this basically, not only collaboration and creation with other people, but also ultimately advertising, where I'm telling people to come over here, and then they get here and I'm like, I'm tired. But again, I thank you for your patience and kindness. I will just remind everybody, this is an independently produced show. However, today's episode is a treat. I will say it is another Susto original. This story was produced by the lovely Jeffrey Doyle. Everybody, a round of applause for my man. So I'm very excited to do that story. But before that, as always, send in your own scary stories. Anything that you would like me to share on a Letters from the Beyond episode. That means stories submitted by you, the listener, or on social media, because you can also send in photo, video, recording, audio, anything you think is creepy, scary that I should share. I will also post on social media. And I also have another event coming up, actually. Speaking of keeping the momentum going, later this month on the 18th and 19th, I will be at the University of New Mexico speaking at the Critical Mystery Studies Symposium. Just to give you a little rundown about this, the Critical Mystery Studies Symposium brings together scholars from a variety of fields, including Latinx studies, Indigenous studies, and African studies, to critically and creatively examine the mysteries that surround us. Critical Mystery Studies, or CMS, is the critical and interdisciplinary study of mysteries such as ghosts, hauntings, alien encounters, and monster sightings. This is like a dream for me. This is like an event that is truly, truly catered to what Susto is about and the kind of work that I do around Susto. So I'm very excited about this. So if you happen to be in New Mexico and you are near the University of New Mexico, we will be gathering on the 18th and 19th. They are 2 full day events. So you can learn more by visiting criticalmysterystudies.com. There is also a link on my link tree to register if you would like to attend if you're nearby. And I will share more about that as time goes on. I may or may not be collecting stories around there. It's going to be very exciting. And it is going to be happening at Hodgen Hall. All of this information, again, is available on their website. Just a big thank you to University of New Mexico and the people who are putting on this event for inviting me and bringing me out. There is a kind of a footnote on the website, and I want to shout them out beforehand. This says, we are supported by the following: the Department of Chicano Studies, the Department of English, the Institute for American Indian Research, the Center for Regional Studies, El Centro de la Raza, the Southwest Hispanic Research Institute, and the College of Arts and Sciences. Thank all of you so much for inviting me to be amongst y'all. It's an amazing lineup, y'all. I'm looking at the schedule and there are some really, really cool people that will be speaking here. I did see University of Texas Rio Grande Valley somewhere in the listing. So Puro 956, we are everywhere. Again, you can learn more about that visiting their website. The link is also on the link tree in my bio. So that is it for updates. Again, send in your stories. Follow online at Susto Podcast for any and all updates on the shows and any events I may be at. Before we jump in, I would like to ask you if you have the time, the space, the energy to help support Susto in the easiest way possible, which is by leaving your 5-star and positive ratings and reviews, by interacting with the show wherever you are listening. Again, it is the easiest way to support and it really does help me and I truly appreciate it. With that being said, let's go ahead and jump into today's story, which is the legend of La Silampa.
Hey, what's up? I'm Charlie.
And I'm Tyler.
And we are Believing the Bizarre,
a paranormal podcast that dives into the unknown and the unusual every Tuesday.
We discuss hauntings, cryptids, aliens, UFO encounters, conspiracies, and more.
And we break down whether or not we find them believable.
All right, listen, if you're not paying for electricity, you're not paying for dinner.
Saw a terrifying looking face pressed to the window with gaping eyes.
Almost reached it when the laughter stopped suddenly, and a sound behind me made me turn around.
Sorry, I was gonna do it, but then I had SpaceX.
So we got you covered, whether you like horror or laughs, or both. We actually really hope it's both.
With over 3 million downloads, you'll be joining a bizarro community that we promise is more than just Mothman and our parents.
We even take creepy stories from our listeners and turn them into episodes.
Check out Believing the Bizarre on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever you get your podcasts.
Believing the Bizarre, a podcast as bizarre as you are.
Ben heard so much about the beauty of La Yaguanda Forest Reserve, nestled in the heart of Panama, and the allure of its emerald green canopy was enough to draw him from the city into the wild. After hiking through many forests and parks throughout the United States, he decided he wanted to try something less familiar. A friend of Ben's raved about their hike through the reserve when visiting Panama. He decided a tropical hike would be the perfect place to escape the chilly November nights. When he entered the reserve, Ben found a small group of locals eager to welcome him into their group to explore the forest trails. They shared stories and laughter as they walked, their voices echoing through the towering trees. There was a sense of unity and safety among the group, their footsteps in sync as they took in the landscape's natural beauty. The reserve was home to beautiful lakes, rivers, and forests, but did not offer some of the familiar comforts that state parks and trails offered that Ben was hoping for. All he and his group had was what they brought with them. They planned to hike up the mountain, stopping at some waterfalls along the way. First, though, they needed to get through the forest. As they moved deeper into the forest, Ben's curiosity got the better of him. The air was thick with mist, caused by a light drizzling of rain, and he couldn't help but feel that there was more to be explored, hidden beyond the well-trodden paths. He paused for a moment behind the group to snap photos of the trees and lush greenery. But as he did, a woman from the group touched his arm. Her name was Rosa, a sturdy, middle-aged woman with a face weathered by years under the Panamanian sun and a demeanor as unyielding as the trails she loved to hike. She was well known among the locals for her strength and skill, an avid hiker who could navigate the densest parts of the rainforest with ease and knew every hidden trail by heart. With her dark, piercing eyes and her thick, calloused hands, Rosa was a respected guide for others in the forest. She moved with quiet confidence, carrying an air of caution that only someone deeply attuned to the land would understand. Her dark eyes bore into his as she warned him softly, her voice trembling. "Stay with the group. La Silampa lurks in these forests, especially in the rainy season when the fog rolls in." Ben smiled politely but shrugged off her words. He'd heard enough folktales, one for every hike he's been on. He decided that these were just silly superstitions meant as warnings for inexperienced hikers to scare them into staying on marked trails. But Ben wasn't worried about that. He knew how to handle a hike through a forest. After a while, against Rosa's warnings, he let his feet lead him off the main trail, lured by the promise of untouched scenery and quiet solitude. The murmur of his group faded behind him, replaced by the steady drip of rain on leaves as he ventured deeper into the forest. The sky darkened, and the drizzle turned to rain, soaking his clothes and weighing down the thick canopy. Ben hadn't anticipated how quickly the trail would vanish, obscured by the dense undergrowth and tangled roots. Before he realized it, he was completely off track, surrounded by towering trees and thick vegetation that seemed to close in around him. The mist was rising now, swirling low to the ground, and the vibrant green of the forest took on a ghostly, monochromatic hue. He pulled out his phone, but of course, there was no signal. The fog was becoming more dense, turning the world around him into a gray maze. Each step forward felt like a step deeper into some otherworldly realm, as if the forest were shifting around him. And then, in the distance, Ben saw something pale moving through the fog. It was barely visible, a flicker of white drifting through the trees like a wisp of smoke. He squinted, trying to make out what it was. Perhaps it was another hiker, or just his eyes playing tricks in the fog. But as he watched, the pale shape began to grow, taking form, and he saw it more clearly. A ghostly white sheet, unfurling like a banner in the mist, but with no person or tree to hold it up. He felt a chill crawl up his spine as the figure drifted closer, floating above the ground. It was almost beautiful the way it moved, silent, fluid, and terrifying. "Hello?" Ben called, though his voice felt swallowed by the fog. The sheet stopped, hovering silently in front of him, and the air grew cold, frigid. The rain had lessened, and Ben felt the distance between him and the mist closing, pulling him toward its ghostly figure. His heart pounded, and he took a shaky step back. The old woman's warnings echoed in his mind. La Silampa lurks in these forests. But it was too late. The sheet seemed to stretch and expand, filling the air around him. He tried to run, but his feet felt rooted to the ground, his body paralyzed by the sudden weight of fear. The figure moved forward, encircling him, and he felt a suffocating chill wrap around his body, pressing into his chest and tightening around his throat. Ben gasped, trying to scream, but the mist forced its way into his mouth, cold and endless, stealing his breath. His vision blurred, and his strength drained from him, leaving him weak and dazed. He tried to reach out, to claw at the figure that was suffocating him, but his hands passed through the mist, touching only bitter air. When Ben didn't return to the group by sunset, they began to search for him. It wasn't until dawn that they found his remains in the fog-drenched undergrowth, bones picked clean, lying in an eerily neat pile among the leaves and vines, identified only by his scattered belongings. Upon seeing his remains, Rosa crossed herself, whispering a prayer, for she knew what had claimed him. La Silampa had struck again, returning to the mist, waiting for the next soul foolish enough to wander alone into her domain. Welcome back, ghoul friends. All right, so some quick notes before we jump into the sources. Again, thank you so much to the lovely Jeffrey Doyle, my man, for putting this together. So a couple notes here. The first one is La Silampa is a white mass that scares those who dare to go out late into the woods. It is said that it can grow several meters in height and vanish once it catches you. Panama has a long history of exploitation by America and of natural resources being over-harvested. Jeffrey wrote here that he picked La Yaguanda Forest as the setting because it had once been overforested, and there's some more information about that we're going to get into in a bit, and it felt like a good representation of that exploitation of natural resources. It has since been reforested, mostly thanks to the efforts of women and the local communities, and it wouldn't surprise me if there was a spirit there waiting to take revenge on those that exploited Panama. Right off the bat, if you've been listening to Susto for a while, it's very reminiscent of those kinds of creatures that are these forest-dwelling wilderness protectors, right? We run into these a lot. Duendes are very popular ones that are said to kind of protect wild areas. The other ones aren't really coming to my mind right away, but you know that we've talked about this archetype before of like a cryptid or a creature. This is very interesting though, because this doesn't have, and I know, you could argue about whether or not spirits are physical or solid beings, but this isn't really like a personified, I guess, thing, whether it's a spirit or a creature or a cryptid or a monster, whatever, it is, there's usually some sort of like personification. It is a being, right? This is more kind of like, yes, a being. I don't know how to explain the difference. It's like an entity. It's a mist, it's mist at the end of the day. Like it is, whether there are cryptids or spirits that take form of human beings or animals, those are like things, right? This is, again, mist. It's a sheet, if you will. Some people describe it as like a flowing, silky, like an actual like bed sheet, if you will. When I was reading it and in seeing some of this research, I don't know if you all have seen the movie Nope, but the alien in Nope, I think they named it Jean Jacket. Towards the end of the movie, and sorry, some spoilers if you haven't seen it yet, which if you haven't, go and watch it. It's a great movie. The way that it kind of moves at the end, it does have more of like a structure to it, but that kind of like flowing, fluid movement. And if you could see me right now, I am literally like, I look like Shakira, the way that I'm moving my arms and my hands, but it gave me that kind of picture in my head as I was imagining it while I was reading through all of this stuff. So yeah, it sounds, honestly, to me, and of course, I'm always on the side of the monster, spirit, whatever it is, but it sounds really cool to me. It sounds like it looks beautiful, right? I don't know, especially in this setting. I'm seeing this like clearing and just this beautiful dark green lush forest setting, and it's raining, so it's gloomy and it's cold, and then there's just this beautiful sheet just dancing in the center. Again, I'm being Shakira with my arms, but in my head it looks cool, it sounds cool. We'll probably see a little bit of that through these sources. I'm about to go into them, but some people say that it will even take the form of a woman, that the way that the sheet drapes itself, it looks like a woman draped in white or wearing like a long white flowy gown. So if you could imagine kind of like a sheet ghost, right? How the sheet kind of just hangs there. I'm assuming this does that, but because of the way that it moves, or I don't know how it can shape itself. I don't know. I'm sorry for saying this, but the phrase supernatural BBL just popped into my mind. Like if I was this thing and I could shape myself to look like anything, I mean, the possibilities are endless, but also maybe it uses that to lure in people, right? It takes the shape of what they would desire or whatever would attract them, right? That could be one of its things. Before I go into the sources, I'm about to do that. I will say, as Jeff and I were talking about this, he was saying, and I was going through as well to check, it was very hard to find a lot of sources about this. I feel like I've been on a really great streak and I've had a lot of really good luck finding academic sources about these sorts of things, even if it's anecdotal evidence that is documented in a quote academic way. But this one, it was very interesting. There's not a ton of stuff out there. So I'm sorry, but we're going to be left with some unanswered questions. But I invite any of you to please, as always, write in, leave a comment on Spotify, on social media, send me an email if you know anything about this. Because yeah, a lot of these sources, I will just say I wish there was more sources about this, about La Silampa. I think it'd be super cool. But okay, we're going to get into the sources that we do have here. Okay, so this first one is from a website called songosmeltingpot.blogspot.com. And this is an entry, it's from 2007, posted by Edilberto Gonzalez Trejos. Thank you so much for sharing this with us. And this is actually a list of Panamanian myths and legends. It looks like there are 10 of them. Some of them look familiar. El Cadejo is on here. Duendes are on here. Of course, La Silampa is right here. Uy, El Viejo del Monte. That just sounds like, I wonder if that's just like El Cucuy, the old man of the forest, right? And then Las Brujas, or witches. But we are here for the Silampa. It's number 7 on this list. And of course, you can find all direct links to the sources on the Susto Google Docs on patreon.com/sustopodcast. But this short entry on Silampa just says, on winter, or rainy for us, nights, so winter nights in Panama it's their rainy season. The cold fog comes from the mountains is when the Silampa appears. It's like a white sheet that flies over the field. It could be confused with fog. It catches any incautious, I'm assuming any incautious people who walk late in the night and wraps them up and sucks them and leaves just the bones. So this is also kind of giving me The Thing, right? Or what is that movie? Is it The Mist? I mean, but with The Mist, again, spoilers, but this movie's from 2007, so not really spoilers. It's been, I think, plenty of time. But with The Mist, it turned out to be aliens, right? But still, this idea of what is, and also La Silampa could very well be an alien, right? It doesn't have to be paranormal in the sense of spirits. It could be paranormal or supernatural in the sense of it's something otherworldly. It's alien, right? I mean, The Mist would be a great pairing of a movie to watch with this. But you get what I'm saying. It's that sort of archetype of paranormal entity, if you will, like the Thing, The Mist, the Blob, right? It's this kind of alien, inhuman thing that takes people. But yeah, that idea of it just leaving the bones. There's a really cool, here it is. It's the second one. This is from malarkeybooks.com. It is an entry simply just called La Silampa. This was published on Halloween of 2022, 2 years ago, by an Eric Williams. This is a full story, and this is a great story. I read the whole thing. It is amazing. Again, it's called malarkeybooks.com. I need to find this author and see if they have more writing, because I love the way that they read this story. This is about La Silampa. One thing that what's it called? A sort of an excerpt that I wanted to take from the story that I thought was really interesting was the description of what it looked like. So Eric Williams, if you're out there and you hear this, please let me know if this was just fully your imagination or where you may have gotten some of the inspiration for the appearance of La Silampa. Because again, not a lot is out there from what we were able to find. It's a short fiction, and it says, quote, "What does it look like?" I asked, impressed with Nemesia's somber tone. "Like nothing else in the jungle. My grandmother said she saw one once, long ago, when she was young. She had gone into the jungle to meet a lover and been caught in the rain on her way back home. The mists had risen, and La Silampa came, floating between the trees, riding the fog. It was white and shapeless like the mist, though she said that when it rose up, it was like a burial shroud blowing in the wind. I have heard others say that it sometimes looks like a woman, all in white, though that is but a trick it plays to lure the unwary. It is a terrible thing." So again, I wonder if the shape that it takes, when it takes a human shape, is it always a woman, or does it, could it be a man for some people? Could it be someone not on the binary, or like, could it be something else? Like, could it, it's this fluid kind of sheet. What shape could it take to lure someone into the wild? Could it be someone's child, a lost loved one that they're trying to find? Yeah, it's just like, it's able to play a trick. So I want to know more about the details of what this thing looks like. It was hard to find the origins other than it is from Panama. The next one is called Live and Invest Overseas. I'm not exactly sure what that means. I don't want to promote anybody to go gentrify places, but I'm not going to make assumptions because I don't know what the rest of this website looks like. But this says Halloween in Panama, popular myths and legends, scary Panamanian stories to tell in the dark. This is by Geraldine Gonzalez, published in October 29th, 2021. Oh my God. Of course, they're Halloween legends, right? Or legends that are being posted on Halloween. But this one, again, it's kind of like a listicle. It has a bunch of different entries. But what we took from this one is that they wrote, it's again a short entry on La Silampa. It's one of like the shorter entries in these lists, but it says La Silampa is also known as the mother of the night. Legend says she comes out at midnight, especially on dark winter, in parentheses, rainy season, nights. She takes the form of a white shadow that grows quickly until it's bigger than a palm tree. She then keeps growing until she's suddenly out of sight. If you don't run for shelter or stand under a palm tree, you're doomed. There's that element of the vampire, right, where you need to be invited in to enter. For some reason, La Silampa cannot enter shelter. And I'm just curious about the idea of a palm tree. Like, why standing under a tree? Well, I'm not sure. Here it says just under a tree, but also palm trees are native to Panama. So I'm going to go with palm trees just because there's some relevance there. But so something really quick, a super fast Google search says, what is the spiritual use of palm trees? These elegant and beautiful trees symbolize resilience, victory, fertility, peace, and tranquility. They serve as perfect omens or amulets, reminding us of our own strength and resilience. Additionally, they provide a gentle reminder to seek inner peace and serenity. So I wonder if that has anything to do with it. You also see palm trees a lot. Again, bringing it back to my own experience, but in the Catholic Church, there's Palm Sunday. You know, with the dried palm leaves, we make the sign of the cross, or we make a little crucifix, and then there's still one hanging over the front door of my mom's house. I know that for sure. So I don't know, this maybe there is like a spiritual connection to palm trees that offer protection against La Silampa if you are being chased and you are able to outrun her. And the last thing that I have here is from myguidepanama.com. It just says La Yeguada Forest Reserve, Panama. This doesn't have a byline or when it was published, but here in our notes it says La Yeguada is located in Calobre, Veraguas, and is the first forest reserve in the country. It was created in 1960 to protect the basin of San Juan River in order to supply clean and abundant water to the Yeguada hydroelectric plant. This area is now one of the best camping sites in the country because of its beautiful lakes, rivers, waterfall, and mountainous scenery. In addition, this forest reserve is the location of one of the oldest experiences of reforestation with Pinus caribaea in Central America, which began in 1967, again, mainly by women, and now has over 2,000 hectares planted in harvesting state. That word hectares, we had it recently. Hectare is a measure of land. I forget exactly what the measure is, but I know it's a lot. So think of like acres, hectares, I think is the next step up. That is a lot of land, but from this website itself, it says this forest reserve is a protected area under the responsibility of ANAM, National Authority for the Environment. So there is an admission fee to access and a camping permit fee. This also says, was kind of like nodded to in the story, that it doesn't have the same sort of amenities, if you will, as state parks and trails that someone might be used to in the States. This says, there are not many services in this area, so you need to come prepared. You will only find one rural toilet, and you can get water from the park ranger's office. So whenever we all go to La Yeguada Forest, we're going to pack our tissue paper and our wipes and a trash bag to carry with us, because always leave it how you found it, right? And also, just looking through these pictures, this is a beautiful park. Oh my God, I want to go hiking so bad. And this is the perfect season to do it because it's not punishingly hot in Texas. Yeah, those are all the sources that we have for La Silampa. Welcome back, ghoul friends. Thank you so much for tuning in to today's episode of Susto. We are kind of back in the swing of things. It is holiday season, so I'm going to do what I did last year for December. And for each week of December, I will have a feed swap with some of my favorite podcasts. I got great response from you all last year. You were excited to hear about shows that you maybe hadn't heard before. So, and the same thing that I said earlier about events and collaborating with other people and stuff, that applies to this. So if you have podcast recommendations that you think, I think Susto would like this, or I think my fellow ghoul friends would like this show, please send them to me, recommend them to me. And who knows, they may be in the feed swap for December. That also gives me some time to take off, but an actual like planned holiday break versus just I'm tired, I need to stop for a second. And also time to plan ahead for the new year. So again, it is now November. December, you will be getting those really fun feed swaps. Again, if you're unfamiliar, a feed swap is just when I exchange an episode with another show. So instead of posting my own episodes in December, I will post that other show's episodes, and vice versa. They will post to me on their feed just to introduce each other's audience to us, to other shows. I don't know, I just think it's fun. I like to let you all in on what I'm listening to and what I'm enjoying. So with that being said, you can expect that for the month of December, and then January we'll be jumping back into it. Once again, you can keep up with any and all updates for the show and with me on social media at Susto Podcast across any platform. You can send in your own stories. You already know how. DM on Instagram, email, visit my website, 5-star review on Apple, or a comment on Spotify. And also feel free to just leave comments on Spotify. I've actually been liking and replying to all of those. So again, feel free to, there are so many ways to reach out to me. Please take advantage of them. I love hearing from you all. One more time, I will be at Critical Mystery Study Symposium in New Mexico later this month. You can find that link on my link tree. And one more time, the easiest way to support the show is by engaging with it wherever you are listening. So that means following, subscribing, leaving 5-star ratings and positive reviews. Speaking of supporting, if you would like to, you can visit patreon.com/Susto Podcast and consider signing up to be a paid Patreon subscriber. There are many perks that come with that. This episode's patrons, huge shout out to you all. You are Liza, Sadie, Rachel, Alejandra, Luther, April, Mario, Eva, D, Josette, Sam, Mandy, Jules, Lori, Jeannie, Desiree A, Anna C, Ashes, Neressa, Rachel, Azucena, Marlene, Chata, Lainey, Desiree C, Cynthia, Serena y Flamenca, Belinda, Archer, Ricardo, Sarah, Anastasia, Vanessa, Maritza, Nieves, Monica, and Samantha. Thank you all so much from the bottom of the abyss where my heart is. If you would like to listen to Susto ad-free and 1 day early, and to get access to more Susto and forbidden content, check out patreon.com/Susto Podcast. You all have a very cozy day as the days get cooler and cooler. I'm so looking forward to it. I already have my heated blanket plugged in, and I will talk to you all in the next one. Until then, no te asustes. Bye.